I don't know if you've noticed, the further man has gone in technology, the more independent he's become.
Dr. Tony Evans says declaring independence from God has been America's biggest mistake, even though most people don't recognize the trouble it's caused.
Everybody has an opinion about what's wrong. There's political diagnosis, economic diagnosis, social diagnosis. I just want to give you God's opinion.
This is The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans, author, speaker, senior pastor of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship in Dallas, Texas, and president of the Urban Alternative. Forget your keys and you'll be inconvenienced. Forget your bills and you'll pay a penalty. But when a person or a whole nation forgets God, well, the results are deadly. And that's what Dr. Evans will tell us about as we join him for today's lesson.
Every July 4th, there is a fireworks display. There's barbecue. There are reunions, marches, parades, and celebrations because of Independence Day. The Declaration for Independence led to a war. When the 13 colonies said, we don't want to be under your authority anymore, England said, yes, you will. It led to the Revolutionary War. Because rebellion always leads to conflict. And the United States was born out of a battle for independence. While it may be okay for colonies to rebel from another nation in the name of freedom, it's not okay for mankind to rebel against God in the name of desiring to be independent. I want to talk to you today, both nationalistically and personally, about what's happening in our land and what's happening in our life, because we have made a declaration of independence from Almighty God. Much of what you're seeing today has been incorrectly diagnosed. There's political diagnosis, economic diagnosis, social diagnosis. Everybody has an opinion about what's wrong. I just want to give you God's opinion. Our scripture today is Genesis chapter 11. It's the story of the Tower of Babel. It is where men decided to declare a declaration of independence from Almighty God. We begin by reading, now the whole earth used the same language and the same words. Everybody was talking the same noise. Everybody was saying the same thing. They were using the same speech. They had a common confession of agreement. So the whole earth was on the same page. With this unity, they decided that they would journey east. Verse 2 says, they found in the plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. So they went east. Now, you have to understand, to go east up until this point in the scripture meant to go away from God. It started with Cain. When Cain rebelled against God, it says, and he went east from Eden. In other words, they wanted to be one nation away from God, not one nation under God. So they came up with a plan, verse 3. They said to one another, come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly, and then use bricks for stone, and then use tar for mortar. In other words, let's come up with our own plan for how the world should work. Let's come up with our own plan for how life is to be lived, societies are to be organized. Let us do this. We're smart enough. In fact, let not only us come up with a plan to do this, let us inculcate our technology in order to produce it. I don't know if you've noticed, but the further man has gone in technology, the more independent he's become. Because when you can create things in a masterful way that demonstrates the brilliance and intelligence of man, then you don't need to depend on a creator. You can go east. Because you got your bricks, your stone, your tar, and your mortar. So we can build the world we want, the way we want it, and we will not appeal to God because we got us. Let us do this. Let us construct a world of our own making. This has nothing to do with God, it has nothing to do with religion. This is for us. This is about us. However, we need some religion to make it look okay. But we don't want real righteousness, but we want to give the impression that there's a God thing related to this. So in the city, let's build a tower. Second thing he wants is a tower. You and I would say a steeple, like a steeple on a church. How do I know this is a religious symbol? Because he says, and let's stretch the tower to the heavens. So they wanted their own significance. They wanted their own value statement. They were unwilling to be identified as being overseen, ruled, and regulated by God like Satan. They wanted to define themselves by themselves, making themselves the own source of themselves that they might glorify themselves. Because they keep saying, let us for ourselves. That's what men do. That's what women do. That's what young people do. That's what families do. That's what even churches do. And that's most certainly what cultures do. They decide, I'm doing this for myself, and I will give you a religious symbol, but I won't, God, take your name. I won't operate under a theocratic rule. You don't tell me what to do, but keep cooking the meals, keep providing the air conditioning. Don't mess with the oxygen. Don't do that. But I want my independence. Verse 5. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. When God created man, he said 3 words that would forever change history. He created man, male and female, he created them, and then he uttered 3 words. In Genesis chapter 1, he says, and let them rule. 3 words. In other words, we're going to allow them to choose, and we're going to, watch this, give them the freedom of the consequences of their choice. So we're going to let them rule. And we're going to let them determine their decisions and receive the consequences of their choices. That is why God did not interfere with Adam and Eve eating the fruit, because he said, let them rule. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to plant all these trees in the garden, God said. Then he tells Adam, for every tree in the garden, you may freely eat. Freely. First use of the word freedom in the Bible is by God. So freedom is not a man-made concept, it's a God concept. And God says, every tree in the garden, free. You're free to eat it. Except there's one tree in the garden. Stay with me here. It is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's an information tree. This tree has data. And it just doesn't have data about good, it has data about bad, because it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So it's got good stuff in it and bad stuff in it. And that tree, don't eat it. So here's how freedom works. There should be maximum freedom and limited regulations, because there's only one tree you couldn't do. He didn't over-regulate the garden. Very limited regulations. Massive freedom. Your choice. I'm going to give you the instruction. You can enjoy the freedom of my garden, but don't mess with the tree in the middle of the garden. And it's the other tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of life. You can eat that, but of the tree of the information tree, of the college tree there, the graduate tree, the PhD tree, that tree. Don't eat that tree, because if you do, there's going to be a consequence. You're going to die. But God didn't stop them from eating the tree. He just told them about the consequence of eating the tree, but he gave them the freedom to rule. He says, let them rule. So when God says in verse 6, if we leave them alone, nothing that has been purposed will be stopped, what he means is that their evil will proliferate and become unstoppable because they insist on ruling apart from me. So in keeping evil from being as evil will become, if we don't stop the evil from becoming what evil will be, if they all get together and spread evil, then we're going to have to intervene in this situation. So here's the question you must face individually, as a family, as a church, as a society. Will you live by reason or revelation? Will you live by what God says or what the information tree tells you? Will you live by what everybody else thinks or by what God declares, thus saith the Lord? What will you live by? Because you will bear the consequence of the choice. We wonder why there's so many problems in our lives, in our families, in our churches, in our society. It's because of freedom. The very thing you want is killing us. Because freedom never meant free from me. So the more God is pushed away from your life, my life, our culture, our society, the more the consequences of a choice you get to make fall on you, us, me.
Dr. Evans will focus in on some of those consequences when he continues our message in just a moment. First, though, I want to tell you how excited we are about the response to the new book he's just released called Kingdom Citizen. I think it's because so many of us are concerned about the direction our country seems to be taking these days, but feel helpless to do anything about it, even with an election coming up. But Dr. Evans says it's not too late for our country to turn around. And in this book, he explains exactly how Christians can work together to usher in a revival unlike anything our nation has seen. We have the potential and the power to heal the division and reverse the decline we see around us. Find out how by requesting a copy of Kingdom Citizen. If you do that right away, we'll send it to you as our thank you gift when you support Tony's ministry with a contribution of any amount. Just visit us at tonyevans.org to make the arrangements. You can also call our resource request line at 1-800-800-3222. Our phone center never closes, so there's always somebody waiting to help you. Again, that's 1-800-800-3222. Well, right now, let's get back to today's message. Here's Dr. Evans.
Once you decide to not be ruled by God, you will wind up being ruled by someone who imitates God, even if that somebody is you. Once you decide to not be ruled by God, you will be ruled, but you'll be ruled by somebody who's imitating God, that is acting like God in your life, even if that somebody is your own brain, where you're saying, I will be like the Most High. And once you have somebody imitating God in your life, you have an idol. Now, you don't need a tree to be an idol. All you need is a brain to be an idol. So they wanted independence. A man was talking to a friend of his who was an atheist. And the atheist was down in Christmas, down in Easter. You know, y'all got these Christians, got these crazy holidays. God said to his friend, well, you got a holiday? He said, no, I don't have a holiday. I'm not religious. He said, oh, you got a holiday. Well, what's my holiday? April Fool's Day. Because the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. The cry for independence may be good for a country against the motherland. It's not good for a society against God. Come, verse 7, let us. Okay, mankind has done that, let us. We're going to do our let us. Let us go down and they're confused, stay with me now, confuse their language so that they will not understand one another's speech. Let us go down. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, let us go down, let us confuse their language. Have you ever noticed Congress can't get together on anything? Have you been listening and hearing how everybody's talking? Nobody's making sense, and absolutely nobody has an answer for anything. Do you get the impression by listening at the news there's a lot of confusion? The problem is we think the confusion has come from the people. But did you read the verse? Let us go down and confuse their language. I'd like to suggest to you that the confusion in Washington, D.C., the confusion in churches, the confusion in your family, the confusion in your own psyche is God is confusing you. So watch this. If God is creating the confusion, I don't care what other person you go talk to. If God is creating a confusion, I don't care what party you are a part of. If God is creating a confusion, I don't care who you elect. All he's going to do is confuse the new folk too. The confusion existed because the independence existed. The reason why families are falling apart and they're fighting and fussing and cussing, and they go to counseling to fix it, they go to this to fix it, they go to that to fix it, only to go back to the fighting and cussing and fussing, is because they are refusing to be ruled by God and his definition of home and family and how it's supposed to work. They want to do their own thing, their own way, and then pay money for somebody to give them temporary relief that God is going to reconfuse when they get home. What God will do is allow and bring confusion when there is an insistence on independence, even if you're the one confusing yourself. Confusion exists because independence exists. And the further east you go away from God, the more independence you insist on, the more confusion you will have. Verse 8, watch this. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. Wait a minute, they're all excited. They got their brick for stone and the tar for mortar, and they just we building this city. This city is gonna be the bomb. I mean, we getting this thing going on. We got it going on. They building now. They got the tower going up. Boy, they're all excited. God shut the mama down. He came down and they stopped building the city. In other words, he limited their progress. No, he didn't limit it. He stopped it in its tracks. He let them do enough that they thought they were doing something, only to see God come in. I don't know if you've ever seen this in your life or somebody else's life. They looked like they were going up and choom. Out of nowhere, choom. It says he scattered them. Let me tell you why that's an important phrase. In chapter 9, verse 1, he told them to spread out and fill the earth through the three sons of Noah, Shem, Japheth, Ham. He says, I want y'all spread out across the earth. That's what he told Adam. Be fruitful and fill the earth. Fill the earth with what? The image of God. So I want you to spread out and fill the earth. They said, we don't like that. We ain't going to do that. We're going to go east and we're going to come together and not fill the earth. We're going to come together as this one people in this one place, and we're going to do earth from here. I don't like what God says. So God, you stay there. We're going east. We're going to leave you and we're going to do our thing over there. God said, okay. Well, we're going to confuse this thing so that nobody will understand what anybody else is talking about unless you're part of their tribe. Then the tribes will have to gather together with their own people. And according to verse 8, it says they fulfilled what God said. Verse 8 said, They wind up doing what God said do, but it wasn't a pleasant experience after they thought they were going somewhere because they refused to do it. We started out with the statement, one nation under God. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic in which it stands, one nation under God. Liberty, justice for all. We started out with that. Now we are one nation away from God. Yes, his name gets thrown up. His rule is rejected. So using God's name doesn't mean a thing if his rule is rejected. It is his rule that brings his presence, not the use of his nomenclature. And if he cannot tell you what to do, and if he cannot rule your life Monday through Saturday, not just on Sunday morning, you have gone east from God. It is the desire for independence, not knowing that in your independence you are dependent. The closing verse, verse 9, therefore, the name of the city was called Babel because the Lord confused the language of the whole earth. And from there, the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the earth. You keep seeing this word, Lord? It's not the devil made him do it. It's the Lord. Why? Because the Lord will not allow men to compete with him. But he will allow you enough success that you think you are. Chaos took place where culture should have grown because men wanted to be independent.
Dr. Tony Evans, talking about the danger of the wrong kind of freedom in a message from his 2-volume series, Turning a Nation to God. This 14-lesson collection would be great to use with your Bible study or Sunday school class, or just to review on your own. You can request it online at tonyevans.org or give us a call at 1-800-800-3222, and one of our staff members will help you make arrangements to get a copy. Either way, though, don't miss your chance to get a copy of Tony's brand new book that I told you about earlier, Kingdom Citizen. Remember, if you request it before our special offer runs out, we'll send it to you as our gift when you help keep Tony's teaching on this station with a contribution of any amount. Tony says our nation will only return to God when the church returns to God. So don't wait. Request your copy of Kingdom Citizen today at tonyevans.org or call our Resource Center at 1-800-800-3222, where staff members are always on hand to help you. Again, that's 1-800-800-3222. God gave us boundaries in life, but he also gave us the freedom to choose. So what happens when we abuse that freedom? That's what Dr. Evans will explore with us tomorrow. I hope you'll be along.
In closing, there's a true story in Texas a few years ago about an airplane that took off by itself from one of these small airports. It was a little twin-engine deal. It just took off. The guy got out of it, left it running, and somehow the gear tripped or whatever it was, and the plane went down and took off. Took off with nobody in control. Just took off. I mean, it's flying high. It took off independently of anybody controlling what happened. It was its own plane without a pilot, flying high. I mean, he was way up there. Only one problem. It ran out of gas. And when it ran out of gas, it came crashing down. My point, you can go high without God at the control of your life. You can build a name for yourself, a career for yourself, money for yourself, cars for yourself, houses for yourself. You can become super duper man, super duper woman. You can get high by yourself. You can have a person say, I don't need God. Look at what I've done without God. I'm in the air. You can do all that without God. You can do that by yourself till you run out of gas. But there will come that time in your life when you run out of gas, and in the midst of your high-flying self, you're going to go, chuk, 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 chuk. And all of a sudden, the atheist in you is going to cry out, oh, God.
The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans is brought to you by the Urban Alternative. and is made possible by the generous contributions of listeners like you.